Let me ask you all a very simple question, to which I think I know what most of your answers are going to be. Do you know the name Mason Heinschel? No? Okay, that's all right. That's what we're here to do. Mason Heinschel will be the reason that Pitt beats Notre Dame if the Panthers are able to pull the upset here. Because the formula for beating Notre Dame this season in their 2 losses, which the committee's kind of forgotten about, and it seems like there's a deliberate effort to get Notre Dame in the playoff because they were really good last year, and we know Marcus Freeman's a good coach, but they're just forgiving them because there were close losses. And you know what? I get it. I don't love it, but I get it. The common theme in those 2 games is that there was high-level quarterback play on the other side. Not insane numbers from Carson Beck for Miami. I think weather was a factor that day, but he went 20 of 30, 203 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And when Notre Dame lost at home to Texas A&M, Marcel Reed went for about 360 through the air and was just dynamic. Well, Pitt has been completely revolutionized making a midseason quarterback change because Mason Heinschel, they had a veteran coming back in Eli Holstein who'd had a pretty good career that I think reasonably might have had some Pitt fans thinking, hey, at least we're good at quarterback. Is our team going to be all right? Well, here's Pitt making their push for the college football playoff. And Pat Narduzzi, I believe he actually said that this isn't necessarily a must-win game because they've got to win their ACC games, which is technically true. But you want to make a statement and you want to help out some other teams, you win this game at home. Pitt is an underdog at home against Notre Dame in this spot of 11.5 points. And if they win, Mason Heinschel will be the reason. And then in the offseason, there will be a discussion on this show and several others like it about how much Mason Heinschel could command in the transfer portal. Because since taking over for Eli Holstein, whose play was subpar, lost the game to West Virginia, not him personally, just saying he was starting and that happened. When he took over, I was thinking, well, Pitt's kind of throwing in the towel on the year. I get it. Not going anywhere. Play the young guy. Develop for the future. Kind of like what's happened in Colorado with Juju Lewis. They're throwing in the towel on the year. Season's not going to go anywhere. Play the young guy. Get him experience. That's what I thought Pitt was doing. Well, Pat Narduzzi and his staff probably knew a few more things than me, which is surprising, I know, because obviously I am omniscient. I tried to get fancy with a word there. It didn't go very well. So the play that he has had, Mason Heinschel, in the last several games, since he started. You know how many yards he's thrown for? Let me just break it down. He's 5-0 as a starter, by the way. Pitt has won 5 straight games after a 2-2 start. That's how they're in the college football playoff top 25. Not mine. They're just on the outside looking in, like South Florida. He went for 323 and 4 touchdowns against Boston College, 321 and 2 scores against Florida State. Had a couple interceptions as well. Just 140 and an interception against Syracuse. That's his worst game so far. Everybody gets a dud. And then he got right back up on the bike against NC State and Stanford. 423 yards through the air, 304 yards through the air in those last 2 games. 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. So just safe to say that the young kid can play football a little bit. And so Pitt has been rolling for the last several games, and now they get a serious test. And I have seen teams roll through a somewhat inferior schedule, because that's not a gauntlet. They knocked Florida State out of the top 25, but I, unlike most people, didn't buy into Florida State just because they beat Alabama. I was in wait-and-see mode, and I was right to wait because we saw that they weren't any good. But the Panthers, in their last several games, have put up 48, 34, 30, 53, and 35 points since Heinschel took over. This guy's been playing really good football. Well, here's the Notre Dame defense that in his 2 losses has had high-level quarterback play on the other side. So if you tell me right now that Mason Heinschel struggles, then the game is probably over. It is probably not particularly pretty. It could be a blowout for Notre Dame in a number of different ways, because Notre Dame, we know, is a really good team that's been playing very well. And last year, after their loss to Northern Illinois earlier in the season, they They rattled off, what was it, 12, 13, 14 straight wins? Something of that particular nature. Here's the other good news for Pitt. They are allowing just 81 yards per game on the ground this season. 81. What does Notre Dame want to do more than anything? Do they have balance? Yes, they throw the ball better than they did last year with C.J. Carr compared to Riley Leonard, but they want to feed Jeremiah Love. I'm saving my pick on this game for my Friday show because this is one I need to let marinate. This is not an instant reaction. This is just, hey, here's what to know about this game. Here it is at a glance. I'll think further, make my pick on Friday show. I don't feel that way about Michigan. So Michigan is also a double-digit road favorite this week when they travel to Northwestern, which is basically Walmart, Michigan, dime store, Michigan of sorts. They are going to try and run the ball and be very physical, and they do some things well, play good defense and just throw the ball a little bit enough and try to protect it. I do not trust Northwestern up front to go toe-to-toe with Michigan. I think Preston Stone is going to have at least one turnover in this game, maybe more. He's had a tendency to do that this season. And Michigan on the road, I don't think they're beating Northwestern by 30. It's not the way this Michigan team is currently built and constructed. But the Wolverines, I don't think, are on as big of upset alert as you have with Notre Dame going to Pitt. That's my read on it. I trust Michigan more in this spot, which is weird because I'm such a Michigan hater. Isn't that right, Michigan fans? I am the biggest Michigan hater out there, or I'm just right about Michigan a whole heck of a lot. I don't know if I'm going to put them in my best bets and say they'll cover the 12.5 points at Northwestern. I think there's a very real possibility that Michigan, even on the road, and look, playing in that stadium can be strange. It can be weird. It can be one of those games that just kind of feels odd, and then at the end you look up and go, wait a minute, it's close, it's competitive, we have to sweat, we need a game-winning field goal? The environment could be made for that. I don't know if Northwestern is made for that because I don't think that they're going to get more than 13 points, and I think Michigan can manage at least 20. So I'm probably going to leave this out of the best bets going either way. I'll take Michigan to beat Northwestern 24-13. I think the Wolverines will be just fine. I think Notre Dame has much bigger problems on their hand because they are going all the way across the country, well, from the center of the country to Pittsburgh, of course, but that crowd should be on fire because they've won 5 in a row and reinserted themselves into the ACC championship and therefore playoff race because their losses earlier this year are to Louisville. Yeah, that's an ACC opponent. And who? Oh, yes, West Virginia. So that's a one-loss ACC team that can still make the conference championship game. So I do wonder what that does to the urgency of the Panthers in this spot, knowing, we could lose this one, still control our own fate more or less to get to the college football playoff. They have Georgia Tech and Miami the last 2 weeks of the year. There could be a lot more chaos in store in the ACC, and they might just beat up on each other and wind up being a one-bid league after all. But as I talked about earlier, Miami going up 3 spots, that's a good thing because they're not going to the ACC championship game. They've got 2 league losses, but they could just sit there at 10-2 and just find their way, like Tennessee last year. Maybe. Man, I'm not saying it's a guarantee. I'm just saying that possibility popped into my head. As I always say, help is often given to those in college football that hold their own. If Miami holds their own, goes 10-2, you want Pitt. First of all, you want Notre Dame out of the picture, and you want Pitt to go on a run here. And for them to be as ranked as high as possible when you play them the last week of the regular season, and that could be a really big playoff implicated, maybe even just a play-in game to the college football playoff, which is something I would very much like to see.